All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Surf Tuesday. I've got Aidan here.
Hello.
Again. Hello, Aidan.
Yep. Regular now.
What we're going to do, we're still on our little series on learning to surf when you're older.
Yep.
And we are up to what?
Forecast.
Forecast. How do I know where to go and what's good and when not to go? So I'm going to do it a little bit different this episode. We've actually got some video of Aidan and myself surfing with Ted and Kieran. We've just been out today. And we will talk about forecasts. We'll also probably stick this on YouTube so Aidan gets to be famous.
I'm only in it for like 2 seconds.
Well, you're only a little bit famous. Yeah. So yeah, we'll just narrate over the video. You'll be able to see it on YouTube. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Excellent.
Good morning.
So
We're heading off to the surf.
what do we care about, Aidan? This is the I'm not sure. Am I going to overlap this with? I can interrupt the video between playing this audio and us audio.
Well, we were just discussing in the car what it was going to be like and what we wanted to work on.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We knew it was going to be small.
Yeah. So when you're looking at a forecast, what's the first thing you look at?
Size.
The size of the swell
Yep. Size
And-
of the swell or the wave face.
and the wind direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And most forecasting apps like you would use. What ones do you use?
Surfline.
Surfline, and you got the premium. You got the paid version of that.
Yep.
So that gives you lots of data, including some cams where cams are available.
Yep.
And it also, if you want to do it nice and easy, it just gives you a rating, doesn't it? Yellow, light green, solid green, purple.
Purple, yeah, purple's
So
like good. which you
from
hardly ever see.
bad to good.
Yeah.
So you could just go and say, yep, it's solid green. That means it's good.
Yeah, no, it's usually going to be offshore, decent size.
Well, it won't tell you the size though. That's the one thing. So if you're a learner going on a solid green day that's 6 foot,
yeah, no.
not a good idea.
No.
So you need to probably look at the wave size first. That's what I look at first. And you can judge that on the wave height. So that's the back of the wave. And for most apps like Surfline, it's going to be in foot because we're all American. For things like Swell Map, they do it in meters. So 0.5 of a meter, 1 meter. Roughly a 1 to 2 foot wave will be somewhere around 0.4 to 0.6 of a meter. And a 3 to 4 foot wave will be 1 to 1.2 meters. Is that about right?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're learning, depending on the break you go to, you probably want 3 feet or under.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah. It'll just be easier paddle out.
Yep.
What do we care about? Wind.
Well, that's probably the second most important thing. I mean, ideally you want an offshore wind, but if you're going to wait for offshores all the time, you're going to miss out on a lot of time in the water. So you can go. I mean, ideally you want light winds, preferably offshore. If they are cross shore or blowing onto the shore, it's going to make the waves messier, but they can still be good for learning. Best thing is just if it's not too strong.
Yeah, you just don't want strong onshore, is what I'd say. Once you get over about 8 to 10 knots directly onshore, it's going to really mess it up. But if it's a cross shore and it's 8 knots, 5 knots, that won't matter.
Going up to get our first
Depending on the
look
break.
at waves.
If it's got a
Oh,
good
fine, don't we?
And that's a good thing, like wind is generally measured
Yeah.
in knots,
We got it
nautical
on.
miles, not kilometres. Well, sometimes kilometres per hour, but
Mostly
knots
knots,
is mostly
yeah.
what you see.
Yeah.
We're gonna see what's
So a light wind would be anything under 5 knots.
Yeah.
That's almost nothing.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, you can barely feel it.
yeah, and then,
10 knots, you can
Definitely
feel it, but it's
surfable,
not
but-
too bad.
yeah.
It's supposed to
15
get
knots,
better.
you'll start to see
bit later,
little
we
ripples,
got more
white water,
mid-tide,
little
but-
bit of
Yeah.
blowing up on the water.
Yeah.
And
And
anything
anything
over
around
that,
20 knots or up, it's like that's,
onshore,
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
If it's offshore, great.
We
Holds
can
the
probably
waves
make
up.
it work, right?
So today's surf, you'll be able to see on the video, the forecast was 1 to 2 feet and bugger all energy. And when we got to the beach, what was it?
What do you reckon, Dad?
1 foot
Yeah, maybe
And-
about a foot.
and no energy,
Very low energy. Very.
but no wind. Yeah.
Yeah, no wind. Classy as.
Yeah. And the spot we went to on New Zealand's east coast does generate a little bit of a nice ground swell. So you can there's still waves to catch, especially for the young boys. They're pretty light. They're around 30 kilos. And I think Ted's on a 34-litre, 5'9" surfboard. And Kieran's on a 33-litre, 5'9" surfboard.
Yeah, and you and I, you were on your...
Well, controversy.
You were on Janice.
Pause. What?
Hmm?
The infamous Janice. I took Janice.
Your mid-length.
Yeah.
That you don't ride very often for various reasons.
Yeah.
Mainly because you've kind of sucked on her before.
Yeah.
But today, a little bit different.
Yeah, we'll see. I was surprised how good I was on Janice today, but I think a lot of that is the last time I tried to ride her, which is probably almost a year ago. I wasn't good enough as a surfer, me.
We just bought a custom board.
And if you have a couple of bad surfs on a surfboard, you ride it off just like that, eh?
Yep.
Sample size of 1.
Yep.
Whereas you should persist longer with the board, shouldn't you?
But but just going back to what we were saying, it's micro, pretty small day, not very consistent waves, but it was clean conditions, and obviously we're the two boys with us, so the size is perfect for them. But even for us, we just talked about what we were trying to work on. We still got plenty of practice and around what we needed to improve on.
If you're trying to learn, these waves are perfect.
Yeah.
Because you don't burn up energy on the paddle out. And you get good practice at getting in the critical part of the wave because there's no energy, so you have to get in the right part of the wave. You can't get too far on the shoulder. And for the younger kids, it's just great because it's real cruisy, beautiful out there. No stress. Nobody's getting washed around. Nobody's getting chucked on each other in the white water. You're not bashing boards together. So yeah, this is really good. Here's the paddle out. So Ted. This is Ted on Janice, and it's like a longboard for him. He's loving it.
Good sculling.
First wave. So I actually slow mode this, Aidan. Watch, it's going to slow mo it. What I like about this wave, and this is Kieran. I'll talk you through it. I spot the peak is quite a long way over to our right, and I'm telling Kieran he's got to get over to the peak if he wants to catch this wave. He's got to paddle sideways. He can't paddle straight into the beach. So I'm taking him. I'm dragging him over. You'll see the peak coming. And I keep taking him to the right, and I still don't quite make it, so I got to give him a massive shove.
Yeah.
But he gets in, and his pop-up is actually pretty good. If you have a look, he's got his head in the right place. He's looking up. He's looking at the wave. He's not looking at his surfboard.
Yep.
He paddles, gives a good paddle, looks along the wave. He's actually got his legs up to get his weight for because it's only a little wave. And then he pops up pretty good. He's got his head in the right spot. He falls almost straight off. But the big learning from that one is to get to the peak of the wave. Here's Ted and Kieran both paddling for a wave. They don't actually catch this one. But you'll see what's nice is actually the board's quite nice and flat on the water for Ted. He's the far surfer on Janice. So he's got a good chance of paddling into this wave. He just doesn't quite paddle hard enough right there. He just pulled out. Kieran wasn't quite at the peak, so he wasn't going to get that one. So it's sort of good to see the video of where you're going right and wrong. And you can see these are nice, clean waves. They're just small. They're just small. But this gives you an idea on New Zealand's east coast what a 1 to 1 foot. It's really 1 foot.
Yeah,
what a 1 foot day is.
Often the size of the waves on the east coast.
But if you're learning, this is a good day to go out. Don't just because. And the surf line forecast was, I think, light green. So here's Ted on Janice. And you watch, you wouldn't think he'd catch this one, but you watch, this is slow-mo. He does actually get this one. And see how he's got the board nice and parallel to the water? So he's got a really good glide going. Even see the nose goes slightly under, but he just keeps paddling. He lifts his head up. And there he is, he's in. Perfect. So that gives you a good idea of how to do it. And that's all him paddling himself, and he's pretty stoked about that. So that's what you want to do. You want to try to get your board nice and parallel with the water when you're paddling into the waves. And as the wave lifts you up, you've got to try and keep that board parallel without nosediving. If you sink the tail too much, you won't catch it.
Well, lifting your shoulders up into, once you feel it starting to glide, lifting your shoulders up into a cobra and putting your hands down and sort of looking forward.
He's Kieran slow mode.
Yeah, I think he's going to cobra here, isn't he?
Yep. So he's paddling. Look, he's got the nose of the board just low enough.
Into the cobra.
Perfect.
Looking.
Heads up. That is an amazing pop-up.
Yep.
He stands up too much on his back foot, though, so he stalls.
Yep.
But honestly, for a 12-year-old who's been surfing 4 sessions in his life, like, everything was perfect there. And I think Ted gets this one as well. Aidan can talk you through this one.
Yeah, Ted, I guess.
Looks like there's not a wave, eh?
No, yeah, it doesn't look like much.
It comes real late.
But he is head down paddling.
Look at the parallel.
Forward.
Look at the board parallel with the wave. See that? He hasn't sunk
looking
the
where
nose.
he's going, gets his feet under. Yep.
Nice one.
Yep. Got his hands out. Nice balance.
Yeah, and the key with that is he didn't sink the tail of the board too far, and that's why he managed to catch it. But you can see how glassy it is. I think this was like 2 or 3 knots offshore. There was the forecast, maybe 5 knots offshore.
Oh yeah, there was
but
no wind
basically
to
there's
speak of.
no wind, and that's me sitting on my nemesis. I can't see who's that paddling. I can't see. Is that Kieran? Yep. Look at him looking. Oh, that's Ted. Look, that's Kieran. Sorry, looking up. Didn't quite get the pop. Look at his heads up. Perfect. Oh, Aidan's pretty happy about that.
Oh, that was the one I pushed him into.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So you got a little bit of help with that
Gave
one.
him just a gentle push.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can get out and sort of do this sort of stuff in small waves like this, you'll learn it. You'll learn a ton. You'll just learn so much.
Yep.
If you're a learner surfer. Oh, here's Aidan. What do you do wrong here, Aidan? You watch the video first. You're paddling in quite late,
Yep.
so it's relatively steep. You're almost too far in, but anyway, you get it. So that's pretty good.
Just trying to see. Oh, this is where I do the pop-up. Looking forward, but then I start looking down, and as I still get up,
Yeah.
but I was off balance, which is what happens if you're looking down.
If you want to go back and video, his head goes down just as you pop up.
I was looking forward in the Cobra, which is good,
Yeah.
looking where I was going and gliding in. But then when I popped up, I just took my eyes down to the board, which is still a sort of reflex habit that I need to break.
It is a reflex habit. I think you're getting into a bit of a... You're surfing off it enough now that I think you just do it without thinking.
Yeah, no, that's
and you
the
got to look
biggest thing.
along the wave. Don't look at your board. And honestly, when it gets bigger, that gets worse. You pretty much, it just kills you every time because you go ass over tit in bigger waves.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pop up on big waves if you're looking at your board.
I'll find out tomorrow at Muraway.
So the rest of the video is pretty much, and you can watch it and listen to us, but it's pretty much Ted mucking around in the water, and you can see the rest of us catching some waves. So we can pretty much talk about forecasts and wind now. I think one of the things you've got to realise, and most people know this, but it is a factor. The forecast accuracy of the forecast compared to what the actual surf is. How often, when you go surfing, you read the forecast? How often is it pretty much what you thought it was going to be based on your phone app? You actually get there and you're like, oh, it's different.
Well, today was pretty bang on. I would say it's about sort of 50-50 whether it's bang on, but it's usually not far off if it's off. It just might get the time of, particularly when there's going to be a change of wind, it may get that wrong. The wave energy and the wave swell direction and all that's usually pretty accurate. But the wind is the most variable thing that it can get wrong, I think.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I find it the other way around. I find the wind accurate, but to tell you the truth, for wind, I usually look at Predict Wind, the app, or you can look at Windy, which is a sailing app.
Well, maybe it's Surfline that gets their wind wrong.
But the sailing app is really good
Yep.
at getting a forecast. With remember when I'm talking about forecasts, I'm talking about looking at a forecast within 1 to 2 days of going. I'm not talking about looking at a forecast more than 5 days out.
Oh, it's definitely.
If you're trying to look at a forecast more than 5 days out, the chance of it being that is about 50%.
Yeah.
It's pretty variable.
Yeah, so the day before, if it's looking good 5 days out, keep watching it. And then if it's still looking good 2 days or the day
You
before,
could be a bit more confident of what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I personally find the big variable with surfline is size and energy of the wave. Sometimes what they say the energy will be and what it actually is it's pretty variable, I think.
Well, I'd say probably more when you're dealing with the lower end of the scale, because, I mean, some versus none is a big difference, but in terms of the actual how much wave energy is there, that might not be a lot on the scheme of things. Like if there's going to be a decent push and a decent amount of energy, and they're saying, I mean, Surfline gives you an indication in kilojoules of the amount of energy, and you know if you're up over 100, there's going to be a decent push.
Well, I find that really variable.
Yeah.
So
I think it's more variable when you're under 100. But once you're up over 100, you know there's going to be something.
Because I've been to places like this is on New Zealand's east coast, North Auckland, where they've had at 200 or 300 kilojoules, and it's barely bigger than this.
That
and
has
you
occurred.
just get there and think, what WTF?
Yeah, that has definitely happened.
So I've tended to go and look more at the actual accurate swell height.
Yeah.
And I find swell maps better for that, or predict winds better for that. And if the swell height is more than 0.6 of a metre, so pretty much more than 2 feet on the New Zealand's east coast, so it will depend on where you are, then you get a pretty decent push with that. Once you go under that size, it depends on the tide, where the tide's at. It depends on that beach.
Yeah, a lot more.
It depends on the swell direction. Is the direction coming exactly perpendicular to the beach, like straight in, or is it coming on an angle? So today's kilojoules were 19 kilojoules.
Yeah, we're dealing like at the very bottom end of the scale here.
Normally, if you look at a forecast at home and you said 19 kilojoules, would you even think you could surf it?
No, I mean, at 19, I would have thought it was basically flat.
But could you surf that?
Yeah, well, we did.
We did surf. No, we did, and we got some okay waves.
Well, there were definitely some waves that were bigger at the higher end of the scale and probably at the higher end of the energy, right? There's always going to be some coming through, some sets that were bigger.
Correct. So what I mean is, if I look at the kilojoules on Surfline and it was 19...
Well, they're giving you an average, right?
Yeah, but you would think it's not even worth going to the location to look.
Yeah.
But when I look on Swell Map or Predict Wind, it was 0.5 of a metre to 0.4 of a metre was the swell size. And I know if I'm getting up to, if the odd wave is at 0.5 of a metre, I know I can catch that and have an okay surf. It's tiny, but it's okay, and it's really good for the boys.
It's what we're saying. It's still great if you're just learning, or if you've got young people with you as well.
Yeah,
it's going to be good size, and particularly learners can take a lot out of this because you're not going to be thrown around a lot, and you've got time just to practice the things you need to work on.
You can see even 12 and 13-year-old boys, and you can just sit there, hang out.
Yep.
Most of the time we were surfing in maybe chest deep water, so you catch a wave and you can stand up. You don't have to fight the white water to paddle back out.
And you're not concerned when you're learning about getting really long rides. You're just really concerned about catching a wave and then popping up and standing up.
You just won't get a long ride. I think I got one, and you might have got two on your longboard today. But
Three.
Oh, three. But you just won't get them. The waves aren't big enough. So, what size would you normally prefer to ride? Kilojoule.
A meter.
Yeah, me too. So
a meter to a meter and a half is ideal for me, and about 200 kilojoules.
Yeah, so we're talking 200 to 500 kilojoules is what you see. And so we'll get a little bit more into the weeds about swell. So we've got swell size and energy. Okay, so that's sort of the height of the swell and how fat the swell is, the energy. Okay, like how much water is being sucked up by those waves. And then the other good thing to look at is frequency. how far apart is the swell?
They sometimes call that the period.
Yeah. Well, you have to be careful using those words.
Well,
Can we call it frequency?
it's officially called period on Surfline. But anyway, I see what you're saying.
No, we'll call it period.
So that's the number of seconds between each wave, right?
Yep.
Yep. So a longer interval or frequency,
Or period.
or period, generally denotes more better surf, more well-defined waves.
What they're saying is more of an ocean swell.
Yeah.
So the swell, in general,
Or a
when they're
ground
further
swell.
apart, it's come from a longer distance. It's
Yep.
going to be cleaner, fatter, and better. And it's also easier to catch because you can when the waves are a bigger distance apart,
decent gaps between them.
when you're sitting in the swell watching the waves come, you can see the good one to catch because there's a gap.
Yep.
When the waves start getting close together, it gets harder to see the right wave to catch.
Yep.
So period really matters. And in general, it should be, you want something more than 10 seconds, don't you?
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, 10 or over.
Often on New Zealand's east coast, it's about 9 seconds.
Yeah.
But every now and then you'll get an ocean swell. It'll be 12, 13 seconds apart, and they're awesome. You get under 9-second interval, and it starts to become a bit shitty. So that's the other thing to think about.
Well, we get a lot
with
of just
swell.
wind swells,
Yeah.
don't we? Which are just storms close to the shore that stir things up.
Yeah,
And
they're less than like 50 k's off the
Yeah.
coast.
And you can get surfable waves out of them,
Oh.
but it's going to be a mixture of swells often, won't it, with shorter periods
Yeah,
or intervals.
Definitely. Yeah. So there's definitely, you want to look at the swell size. You want to look at the swell period. You want to look at the swell direction.
What was the period today?
I didn't actually look.
Yeah.
But you talk and I'll have a look. Swell direction, does it matter?
I think it was a longer period today.
Well, what did it feel like in the water? When we first got there,
About 10 seconds, maybe.
it felt like 10 or 11 seconds. And
Yeah.
then as the tide filled in and it got closer to high tide, it went all messy. There
Yeah.
were like double waves.
Yeah.
So what I mean by double waves is there
There were some double waves.
there was the main swell, but then like 2 meters in front of it, there'd be a small swell.
Yeah, different swell.
And that makes it hard to catch. The wave period today, I will tell you, this is based on Surfline, is 8 seconds. So this is the third thing. Surfline says there's 3 different swells coming in.
But what's the primary one showing?
8 seconds.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. But less than we thought.
Yeah. So there's a 1.9 foot swell coming in. That's 8 seconds apart. There's a 1.2 foot swell that's easterly coming. That's 10 seconds. And then there's a little swell that's 12 seconds.
This is the other thing to talk about. So it was saying the size of the wave was 1 to 2 foot, wasn't it?
Correct.
But the swell size was only, 1.6 feet. And that can give you an indication, like if it's a 1 to 2 foot, but with a much larger swell size, we know it's going to have more energy,
Yes,
more push.
correct. More energy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what to look for in a swell. You're not just looking for the size of the swell. You're looking for like how fat or how much energy it is, how far apart the waves are, and what direction they're coming into your beach from. Some beaches will pick up swell better than others. Often beaches that have a bit of a corner or a cove with a rocky point, they will lift swell up better than ones that have just a big open ocean beach. But it really depends on your surf spots. You'll get better at, and just ask around. Sometimes the friendly people will tell you. You'll get an idea of what the good surf beaches are in your location. And the same with the wind. You just want it either nothing or offshore a little bit is really what you want. What else have we talked about? Tide. Should we talk about tide?
Yeah, we were surfing this in, if this was incoming tide, it was about just before mid-tide when we went out, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got in the water and it was halfway coming in.
Yeah.
So in New Zealand, we have a pretty much, look at that turn. In New Zealand, we have pretty much a 6-hour tide. And it's not a massive tide in New Zealand. It's like about 3 meters, 2.5 meters, 3 meters of water changes when our tide changes. Generally, I find on the east coast in New Zealand, the swell really gets killed when the tide's not moving, either low or high. So often, there I go again. Another one. God. And is that on Janus as well?
Maybe. I was halfway down to Ruakaka a lot of the time. So yeah. Anyway.
Oh, we won't say where we were, but that just gave it away. But we weren't at Ruakaka.
No. We're at secret spot X.
Yeah.
That
only us and all of Auckland know about. So tide. So generally you need a little bit of tide moving, I find. Either direction doesn't matter. Some beaches like certain types of tides. Hey.
Definitely. They all do.
I could name some beaches on the East Coast that don't work on high tide and work on low, and some that are the other way.
Here's some speed.
Yeah, no, Ted. This is pretty much all Ted.
Good wave here.
This is Ted getting some good waves. Yeah, and he stayed on even the whitewater nearly got him, but and it's still going. He got all the way to the beach, that one. Yeah, so tide, and you probably want, if you can, have a little bit of tide moving, either coming in or it doesn't matter if it's going out, but you want water moving. When the water's not moving, it kills the swell a little bit. So, if you kill the swell in, especially on the East Coast when you're trying to get the biggest swell you can.
I think I just went past
was that?
Yeah.
Was that Nat Young? Oh, no, that was
It was blocked
that was
you.
you.
It was blocked a lot by Ted's surfboard. But that was one of those three, I think, the three ones where I got a face.
Yeah.
That went for quite a while.
Yeah. So forecast, use an app. What do you think about surf cams?
They're a good guide. You often, not every beach has a cam. You'll get a cam that might be in this sort of rough region of where you are. So it can be a good sort of guide, but you need to sort of know how that location you're looking at compares to where you're actually going.
Yeah. I find them awesome.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm not going to the beach with the camera, usually I can find a camera. Who was that?
It is.
Oh, that's Karen.
It's Karen.
Nice pop-up keys. Sorry, I've gotten distracted. With the camera, even though there might not be a camera at the beach break or the surf spot you're going to, usually you can find a camera within maybe 50 or 100 Ks of it on the same coast. And it definitely gives you an idea of it just confirms, yes, there's some swell or no, there's not. You have to take into account swell direction. So, we could mention places in New Zealand, eh?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. So, Sandy Bay, which is north of Whangarei, that has
a cam.
That has a good cam. It's right on the beach. You can see accurately. Now, that location, there's a big point, Whangarei Heads, which sticks out south of Sandy Bay. And if you've got a northerly swell in New Zealand, Sandy Bay will get a good swell, but that swell will get killed by the Whangarei Heads point. So if you want to surf south of Sandy Bay, which is often where I end up surfing, so we're talking Ruakaka, Waipu, TRI, Forestry. If you have a northerly swell, even though there might be swell at Sandy Bay, often there will not be swell at Ruakaka or Waipu or TRI. TRI a little bit further south.
Goes Ted again. And who's
someone
that?
Cut him off.
Who is that?
Now that is a reminder of etiquette. We might talk about surf etiquette at another episode.
Yep.
Basically, if there's a longboarder inside you, get out of the way. It's not your wave.
Yep.
Is that the story?
Yeah, well, I think that longboarder was just going to run over the person if they didn't follow the etiquette.
Yeah. But it's just a kid. Shouldn't they be a bit nicer? Or should that child have to learn?
Yeah, might need to learn the hard way.
Yeah, okay.
But he got out of the way.
He did.
Well
he
done.
did. Only just.
You don't want to get in the way of a middle-aged longboarder.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is the Sandy Bay cam for me is really handy, but I know...
You did that on my board too.
Yeah, I know. I was killing it. It on the old retro. So you've got to understand the swell angle to know if the camera you're looking at will apply to the spot you're surfing.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's an easterly swell, it's coming straight into the east coast of New Zealand. Sandy Bay swell, whatever's at Sandy Bay will be pretty much the same at the other ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what's happening here? Is this you again?
Oh, I'm just killing it. I'm just catching wave
Back on
after wave.
Janice now.
That's
Still the retro.
That's the modern. She closed out on me, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no,
The retro was good in these waves. I'm
It
just
actually-
saying.
it did go well.
Little
Yeah.
waves like this, you are going to prefer a longer board that has a nice long planing surface. It just allows you to glide into these little waves a lot easier. So,
here's
I mean,
Aiden.
obviously
Here's Aiden. This is what not to do. So he got the tail stuck in the board, and then he got sucked over the top.
Did I not catch that one?
No. So do you see what? Yeah. But look at this. This is me again on your retro, killing it. Absolutely killing it.
Closes on you though.
Yeah, but I got there.
Would have been good if it was a peeler.
Yeah, it wasn't a peeling wave.
Yeah, that
But
was good.
okay, what's your immediate? Oh, it sticks on the car. What's your immediate post-surf report, Ted?
It was fun. Yeah, very nice.
Aiden?
Quite calm, perfect size.
Yeah, the long wait was frustrating.
A long way. Was it smaller than you thought it was going to be?
About what I thought. I mean, the bigger waves that came through were good, but it was
Every
about
20,
20
30
minutes.
yeah.
And you were never out there.
Yeah, and half the time you missed them.
So Janice went well?
Yeah, Janice went surprisingly well. Well, I think we're both used to shorter boards now, a little bit, so it was easier. But I just basically positioned myself almost exactly where I would on my midi, which is quite close to the front.
Yeah.
You have a minute?
Yeah, I have a 7/8 midi.
No, I thought she went well. Towards the end I could have catched things, but then the waves went off, so it was a bit.
Yeah,
bit
no, they
biased.
were too small.
But I got two great waves on your board. Made me think, oh, I need a
It's
modern.
a good trimming board just for getting in the.
Yeah. Super easy
I
paddle.
had 3 good ones where I got in early, turned, and then it started getting steeper, and I just went right down the line.
That you, Keith?
Yeah. I'm not sure. But I feel like I might be feeling flustered.
Oh, on
I
that
could,
board, really?
I could definitely feel the difference of the fact that my turning was a bit slower, and I could feel that I picked up speed on the waves more.
You did real good paddling into your own waves.
Yeah.
It's good. So that's the end of our session. So
Yeah, we wouldn't see any of those amazing 3 long rides I got, but good on you for catching yourself in the camera a lot of the time.
oh, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I don't know how that happens. It's a miracle.
Must be your kids. There's a bias there, obviously. Ted was doing most of the recording.
Yeah, it was. I mean, but this does show you the benefit of having a camera, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you're learning, what I mean is
Yep.
learning to surf.
Yep.
If you and a buddy can go surfing, and it helps when it's small because you don't have to worry about the camera and you don't have surfboards flying around. If you can video each other, and you can get so many little clues as to what you're doing. Like really, Aiden surfing was good, other than that one thing you're
that
doing.
one thing. If I'd had a camera 2 years ago, I could have sorted that out 2 years ago.
So the one
So-
thing that Aiden's doing, if you want to know, and lots of people do
Now I've
this,
had a bad habit for 3 years.
when he paddles into a wave, just before he pops up, he looks at his surfboard
Look down.
and his head goes down and his back arches. And what that means is it tilts you off balance.
Yep.
So it makes your pop up a little bit unbalanced. And it also means that instead of taking off and being able to do a quick bottom turn or go along the wave, you go straight down the wave and the white water catches up with you. And,
Yeah.
and it's hard
you lose
to get
just,
onto the
you
clean
lose
face.
just maybe a split second of time, but that's critical just
That's
to
the
get
critical time.
get your weight in the right place to go where you want to go. You're not looking where you want to go. You've got to look up again, and you'll be slightly off balance.
Yeah, but when you're surfing, you can't tell what you're doing wrong because it all happens so quick.
Yep.
So having a camera is really handy to spot little things.
So now
Yeah.
we all got things that we need to work on off that. The
What-
footage has helped us a lot.
Yeah. And I learnt that I can actually ride Janice. Actually, anyone can ride Janice.
Yep.
To tell you the truth, Ted looked the best on Janice, which is a bit scary.
Yes, it's always a bit scary when you get one-upped by a 13-year-old.
Yeah. He looked really good. Like
Naturals.
a longer film.
Well,
Yeah.
Kieran looked good on a couple of his waves as well.
Yeah. No, Kieran's pop-up is looking
Yep.
amazing. Absolutely
In
amazing.
terms of them looking where they're going, they've got that more sorted than I do.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yep. I should be asking them for lessons.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you should. So that'll do us for this episode. I guess it'll go on YouTube. There'll also be, I'll just do the audio version that is easy for people. If you listen to the audio version, obviously you won't be able to see the video of what we're rambling on about, but that's okay. You can listen to it anyway if you want to. What else was I going to say? Oh, Larry isn't dead. Larry's still around. I'll bring him back at some point. I just haven't been bothered going to see him.
Oh, he's the other member of Surf Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, Larry. I've just been ignoring
the founding member who disappeared. And
well, he hasn't. Yeah, he probably wonders. He probably thinks he's offended me, but he hasn't.
Yep.
I've just been too lazy to go to.
Weren't we going to use Larry as the guinea pig because he's just starting out?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, apparently he used to surf.
Oh, okay. So not a complete newbie.
No, so he used to surf on the West Coast in his 20s.
Okay, but he has to start now as an older guy with a
Yeah.
lot more issues going on than the younger man.
Oh,
that he
he's
was.
got a lot of issues.
Yeah.
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 But that'll be interesting. So what I'm going to try to do, Aidan, I'm actually going to try to upgrade my Rodecaster so I can take 3 mics. And then we can have a third person instead of having to share 2 mics around.
Yep.
And we'll get Larry in the water and we'll take the camera out and we'll see what it's like.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Next episode, what are we going to do? Where are we up to? So we've done...
We've done boards and
We've done
board selection.
gobbledygook intro.
Yep.
We've done surfboards.
Yep.
Now we've done forecast. So what that means is you want to learn to surf. You've decided this is for you. Good for your fitness. Good for your mental health. You've gone out and you've either bought a big soft board, or you've done the Danny special and you've bought the wrong hard longboard. Either way, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know what sort of surf you're going to go out in. So you're going to look at your local surf spots. You're looking for 1 to 3 feet.
Yeah,
You're
I guess.
going to try and go with a buddy.
Oh yeah, definitely always go with a buddy.
Try and go with a buddy, but don't worry if you don't have a buddy, because turn up to a surf beach, be nice, just say hello to people. You'll be amazed how many people are friendly, just want someone to surf with anyway.
Yeah, it's always good when you're a learner not to be the only person in the water.
Yeah. And if the people around you know you're a learner, they'll give you a little bit more slack.
Yep.
Okay. And they'll also tell you if you're in their way, they'll say, hey, you're in my way.
Yeah.
Or if they say, yep, you're in a good spot, you know, they might even give you a wave and say, hey, paddle for this wave.
Yep.
So, you know.
Well, maybe that's our next episode, starting to get into
Etiquette
just being in the water, basic surf etiquette, and just basic sort of going out and trying to catch a wave.
Yeah, exactly. I thought our next episode should be on, so what do you do at the beach? And we could start with warming up.
Yep.
And we could start with things
I could cover that.
Well, I don't know anything about warming up. But then we could also do paddling out. Like what to...
Yeah.
Just the basics of, waiting for a set.
Yep.
Where to sit in the lineup. Some basic etiquette stuff.
Yep.
How to not get in other people's way. What happens if someone snakes you. How to find out where they live and poo in their letterbox, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Adam. Oh, did you have a good surf today?
Yeah, I had a great surf. Enjoyed watching the boys, one up the old men.
They're getting pretty good, eh?
Yep.
Do you think they're getting good?
They are getting good.
Some like watching.
What are they going to be like at our age?
Oh, well, I'll be
Yep.
dead by then. But just watching them able to paddle into waves themselves and getting their pop up right, their progression will just go
Yep.
so quick. It's cool. They're yet to go on bigger surf with me. Much. Actually, Ted has, and Ted's pretty comfortable. But
I'll stick around to see them.
to tell you the truth, Kieran's pretty nervous about bigger surf. I got to work on that with him.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Sweet. Hey, thanks for that. All right. Ciao. Cheers.
Kia ora, everyone.